Recently, I set out to farm the entire map for a whole year because I wanted to know if it was worth it. Ever since I started playing Farming Simulator nearly a decade ago, my goal has always been to save up and buy all the fields on the map and just farm it for a few years. Now, I've never accomplished this, but I did want to know if it was a worthy goal. Is it actually worth it? So in order to test that, I added some money into my account, bought all the fields, and I was going to meticulously track the finances for the entire year. This video is a culmination of that idea. Over 45 hours of Farming Simulator gameplay in a very, very short video just for you, so enjoy it. Obviously, when farming the entire map, the first step is going to be buying the entire map, and if you're curious, on Riverbend Springs, the American map, the base game map that comes with the game when you buy it, it costs $13,684,104 to purchase every single field. Additionally, I spent about $700,000 on a silo system, but I'm not going to count that in there. 13.7 million-ish for all the fields on the map. And when it comes to farming, you got to start with preparing the soil. So I need some equipment. In order to keep this semi-realistic and to keep the results good, I wanted to rent all the equipment for this entire challenge, because if a farmer is unsure what equipment they want, or if they're only going to use it for a couple of years, it doesn't make any sense to fork over hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy it and then just sell it back in a couple of years. So we got ourselves a few machines, a nice Kloss Zarian and a couple of John Deere 9Rs, some cultivating equipment, and I set out to cultivate. When it was all said and done, I spent $366,000 just for renting the equipment for cultivating. I also spent $10,465 hiring workers that were cultivating alongside me, because obviously I can't drive all three tractors at once, right? And it took me 5 hours and 10 minutes to cultivate every field on the map. Next step was planting, and I decided to plant wheat, because it's kind of the standard Farming Simulator crop. I used the same tractors as I did for cultivation, but I got myself some Seed Hawk toolbars, spent $309,000 on the renting just for the month of planting, and that took me 5 hours and 53 minutes. I also spent $7,985 to pay the workers' wages during planting. Now, as the soil had been prepped and planted, all I had to do was fertilize my fields and wait 9 months for them to all be ready. During those 9 months, of course, I did have my tractors sitting around accruing renting costs, and that totaled up to $172,000. But now, as the sun rose on the morning of the 9th month, the wheat was ready to harvest. Unfortunately, harvest was the most expensive part of this entire challenge by far. As I was doing wheat, there are 3 steps really. You gotta harvest the crop, bale the straw, and then sell everything. I rented 2 John Deere X9 combines and a Kloss Lexion as well. Obviously, the required headers and header trailers and grain carts, as well as the original 3 tractors that I've had this entire challenge. Then I had to get another 2 tractors to run the baler and the bale loader. That cost me $794,432 across the span of only 2 months. Morning was 8 a.m. for harvest, and I farmed straight through for 13 and a half hours. Like a madman. With the harvest being completed, I had 2,215,669 liters of wheat. I then jumped straight into baling, and no joke, it took me over 15 hours to bale all the fields and take all the bales to sell. Thankfully, they were ready to sell the day after I baled them, so I could just load them up directly off the field straight to the store. I didn't have to, store them somewhere in a barn or a shed or something, which would have been hard to do because there were 856 bales in total from this entire map. And since the bale loader I used only holds 14 bales at a time, that means it took me over 61 trips from the store to the field to load up, then back to the store to sell, and on and on and on for multiple hours. After harvest, I was able to return all of my equipment, all the tractors and harvesters and baling equipment, except for the trucks. I kept the 3 international trucks because obviously I had to sell the grain, and that was 3 months later. Renting those trucks across those 3 months cost me an additional $15,408. But now we're on the home straight. All I have to do is sell the grain. Only took me a couple of hours, thankfully. And for that month, I spent $10,785 on renting, because I was driving the trucks, obviously, but then I could finally return them. I did also forget to talk about wages from harvest, and I did run some helpers while I was trucking. So I spent $26,310 for workers when I was harvesting, and $2,356 while trucking. Again, a much smaller total because they were just driving back and forth from the store to my farm, and it wasn't very long. All told, it took 32 hours and 27 minutes for the harvesting and the baling and the trucking all combined together. So now we can talk about all the numbers in total, and then I'll reveal how much money we made. Now before we get to the numbers, I want to talk about the land and the building prices. All of that together was $14,359,833. It wouldn't be reasonable to expect to pay off all your land and all of your buildings and farmyard and everything in 1 year of farming, which is all I did. So that's just unreasonable, so I'm just going to keep that off to the side. But all the numbers that actually pertain to what we did, for leasing all the equipment throughout the year, I paid $1,668,914. I paid out $47,116 of workers' wages. I spent 43 hours and 30 minutes actively working, but then, of course, with all the time setting up and sleeping throughout the months, 44 hours and 39 minutes was the total time, plus all the time it took to edit the 3 episodes and produce and edit this video that you're watching right now. So it's probably closer to 50 hours, to be honest. And with all of that input, we got a nice, glorious paycheck of $717,391 from just the bales, and $1,675,113 from the wheat on normal difficulty. That's a combined total of $2,392,504, but I did also do the math for easy and hard. On easy mode, we would have made around $3,975,000, and on hard mode, we would have made a measly $1,325,000. Remember, I spent $1.6 million on leasing. If we played on hard mode, farming literally the entire map, we would have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. That just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I've always known hard mode was actually really hard because I've played it before, but that just really puts it into perspective. It is so incredibly difficult to make money on hard difficulty. And I used the standard farming simulator crop of wheat. In order to prevent you guys from needing to do the math, I'll do it for you. If you add up our leasing costs and our workers' wages I paid out, and then subtract that from our profit, that means we made $676,474 after putting in 45 hours of work, or roughly about $15,000 an hour. I don't know about you, but that kind of workers' wages sounds fantastic to me. I'd love to make 15 grand an hour. But I digress. Now to answer the question, is it worth it to farm the map? I would say, yeah, but probably more so in easy mode. On easy mode, we would have made triple, almost quadruple the amount of profit. Instead of $670,000, it would have been around $2.3 million of profit. That's a lot better. So yes, I would say it's totally worth farming the map, but I also kind of wonder what crop should we do? I did wheat, and I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks since I started this challenge. Actually, it's probably been a couple of months now. Should I do a second round with a different crop? Namely soybeans, and maybe even swath them before. Now, spending another 45 hours on a couple of YouTube videos isn't exactly what I had in mind for a good time. It's great fun, don't get me wrong, but I kind of wanted to do other things. Farming the entire map was slightly boring towards the end of it for sure, especially in the 30 hours of harvesting and baling. But now that it's been a couple of weeks since I've done it, I don't know, I'm kind of wanting to do it. So anyways, leave a comment down below if you want to see me do soybeans with swathing. Now, I have done scientific videos exploring which crop makes the most money on my channel. You can check those videos out in the description down below if you'd like. Little shameless plug for you there. But those scientific videos have determined that if you swath the crop, soybeans makes more than wheat, and it takes out an entire step. You don't have to bale the straw because there's no straw with soybeans. Obviously, other crops, especially the vegetables and poplar, make tons more money than wheat does, or soybeans, or even both of them combined. But doing soybeans, I feel like, would go faster and pay out a little bit more. And maybe I could do it in easy mode or something to make more money. Anyways, leave a comment down below if you'd like to see that. I'm on the fence, let's say. But yeah, that's all from me for now. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.